Okay, let's do a quick recap. When I was saying f of 3 right here, I was taking 3 and I was putting it in wherever I see an x up here into the f function, right? So it's pretty easy to get lost in all this stuff. You know, we have a rational function over here, but I had f of x in the denominator, right? In this section, we're trying to find the zeros of polynomials. Now, polynomials happen in the denominator and the numerator of a rational function, and polynomials just happen by themselves too. They don't have to be in a fraction, right? So these are the two basic types of functions we're trying to get better at in chapter 4. But right now in this section, we're just really focused on finding the zeros of a particular polynomial. And this is our polynomial of focus, right? Now, we just found that 3 resulted in 0 when you stuck 3 into the function. That meant that x minus 3 is a factor, right? That means that 3 is an x-intercept. It means that 3 is a 0 of the function. All those things are true, right? So pretty powerful. It tells us a lot of information. Now, I'm going to show you a crazy factoring here. And the reason why I'm showing you a crazy factoring style is because we're going to look at something called synthetic division in a second. And synthetic division allows us to evaluate this kind of arithmetic very easily. Okay, so here's what I'm going to try to do real quick. I'm going to highlight. I just had this idea. What if I highlight like this arithmetic right over here? And it's kind of a pain to do that arithmetic, but synthetic division is going to help us make it super easy. In order to understand synthetic division, I want to show you something. This crazy factoring called nested factoring. So let's say I looked at these first 3 terms. See how those 3 terms all have a factor of x in them? So I'm only going to factor out an x from those 3 terms. So I'm going to write down x times x squared plus x minus 8. And then after all that, I've got a minus 12 on the end. See that minus 12 on the end, right? So there's the minus 12. I just factored an x out of those guys. Now look, if I look at these 2 terms, there's a factor of x in them. Now I'm going to recopy this initial x factor, and then I'm going to factor out an x from these 2 guys, and I get, let's see, an x plus 1, right? So I get x plus 1. Then I have a minus 8, and then I have a minus 12 on the end, okay? You might say, what? What's this? How could this be useful? All right, let's say I was going to evaluate f of 3 now. Okay, I'm going to take 3, I'm going to replace it wherever I see an x. So I go 3 there, 3 there, 3 right there. Then I have a plus 1. Then I have a minus 8. Okay, then I got a minus 12 on the end. All right, so we're going to come back to this in just a second. I want you to just keep that in mind. And maybe you've seen synthetic division before. Here's what synthetic division looks like. Okay, usually you put like, well, this is the way the book does it. You put down all the coefficients of your polynomial. You put it underneath this little bracket thing. And so there's a 1. I'm going to put the 1s in there. So there's a 1 there. There's a 1 there. Okay, so we got 1x cubed, 1x squared. We got a minus 8x's, and then we got a minus 12 on the end. The constant's minus 12. All right. If we skipped one of the exponents, like let's say it went from a cube to a first power, well, then you'd put a 0 right here for the coefficient of x squared. All right. So this is in standard form, descending powers, right? And not a single power missing. It goes 3, 2, 1, then x to the 0 over here, right? Okay, let's remember. I want to evaluate the function at 3. And I want to see if it equals 0. If it does equal 0, then 3 is an x-intercept, or 3 is a 0, right, of my polynomial. And right down here, I was saying I'm plugging 3 in, and we already know this is going to come out to be 0 because I did the arithmetic up here. We're looking for an easier way to do this arithmetic. So here's what you do. You put the 3 out front. Generally, what the book does is they put a little bar right here, and they're leaving space. We're going to put some numbers right in here, so leave enough space to write some things here. You bring the 1 straight down. You might say, this seems like mumbo jumbo, Nelson. Watch what happens. I go 3 times 1, I get 3. That's 3 times 1, and I put the 3 right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 3 plus, I'm adding on this row, I'm adding these two together, and I get 4. Okay, now look at this right over here. Do you see how I have 3 plus 1 and I get 4? Okay, so let me come in here and I get a 4 right there. According to order of operation, I have to add here because they're inside the parentheses. Then I'm going to multiply that by 3, right? See that 3 right there? So what's going to happen here? I go 3 times 4 and I get 12. Okay, so I put a 12 down here. So look at this, I get 3 times 4. After I do 3 times 4, I'm going to subtract 8 from it. Hey, look at this. 12 minus 8 gives me 4. Okay, so let me recopy a few more things down here. I got that 3, I got this 3 here, parentheses, negative 12 out here. Okay, so let's see, if I go 3 times 4, I get 12. All right, so I got 12 minus 8, and then we got a minus 12 on the end. Hey, look at this. 12 minus 8 is 4. Okay, after I get that 4 right here, what do? I multiply it by 3. So I've got now 3 times 4 minus 12. So watch this. 3 times 4, I get 12. If I take 12 minus 12, we're always adding. Whatever you get right here, you're going to add it to that line up there. Now, if it's a negative that I get right here, then I'm going to, I guess you could think about it as subtraction, but I get a 0. Hey, this 0 right here means that x equals 0, or excuse me, x equals 3 is a 0. Is a 0. That means that x minus 3 is a factor of this polynomial right up here. It means that x minus 3 is a factor. You might be thinking right now, Nelson, what are you doing, man? This is a lot of mumbo jumbo, a lot of work. I already knew that x minus 3 was a factor, right? It's right there. Well, look, they're not going to tell us that. They're not going to give us that information. That part's going to be hidden from us, and we're just going to be given the polynomial, and we have to go and try to figure out what the zeros are. So I hope I'm making this story clear, that I didn't lose you on the story. You're not going to see the factors. It's going to be your job to figure out what the zeros are. If you knew what the zeros were, then you would know what the factors are, right? So you'd say, okay, well, I got, oh, shoot, let me leave that right there. I would have x minus 3 as one of my factors, and then I'd have an x minus 2 as one of my other factors, because I know those are the zeros, right? Now, how do we know which one of these two is squared, right? That might be one of the questions. Like, how do we know that one was squared? So let me show you this. You know, it was cubed, actually. How do we know it's cubed, right? Oh, no, that's supposed to be cubed up there. What the heck? Oh, my goodness. Now I'm embarrassed. I did it as it was squared. So, shoot, man. This should be squared. X plus 2 squared times x minus 3 is generating this guy right over here. My bad. So, if you saw that cubed up there and that was messing you up the whole time, I didn't notice that it had a 3 up there. I wonder how that happened. Maybe that got erased or something. Well, I'm not making all my video stuff again. I want you to just imagine that was a squared up there. Okay, so we're going to have to talk a little bit of how do you know that you have one of these two factors squared, right? Without seeing the graph. Like if we saw the graph, you'd see it bounce off the x-axis, right, at 2. And it would cross at x equals 3. You would cross because it has a first power, right? But we're going to have to figure all those things out. And what I want you to try to do right now is do like the first 4 or 5 problems in your homework just using the synthetic division business, and then we're going to review that in about 5 minutes. Okay? Thanks for watching my videos.